Finally, mention must be made of the Semitic marks of kingship and holiness. Thus the mark that Muhammad had between his shoulders affirmed his prophecy in line with the tradition which prevailed in Gnostic and Manichaean circles. Julius Caesar had physiognomic signs which distinguished him at birth, and bodily marks distinguish Amaterasu, the great man who, in Buddhist traditions, is destined to choose the vocations of either a Buddha or a Cakkavatti, a world-conquering king who turns the wheel of the world. This assumption of a physically manifest role for destiny in the election of kings, and thus a cosmic aspect in the formation of kingship, is quite common. 2 millennia later and continents away, Russians in the 18th century took certain Semitic marks for the distinctive traits of Tsars, whose divine preordination was inscribed on their bodies and which thus made possible the identification of pretenders. Somewhat analogous supernatural favors were bestowed upon the medieval kings of France and England for their coronation. These royal bodies were famously capable, among other things, of curing scrofula by their touch. From the 14th century, English kings were anointed with oil sent from heaven, following the lead of Edward II who, at his coronating, followed the French royal practice of anointment with heavenly oil, which for this purpose had been entrusted in France to Thomas of Becket by the Virgin Mary herself. Centuries earlier this rite was started by Clovis, who after his conversion was baptized with oil from a holy fire brought to earth by a dove thought to represent or be the messenger of the Holy Spirit. Personally entrusted to Remigius Remi, Bishop of Rheims, this miraculous oil in its sacred fire was traditionally preserved by the abbot of the monastery at Rheims Cathedral. None of these matters is a very far cry from other signs of divine election that double up as part of royal iconography. Most interestingly, the possession of particular objects or of esoteric knowledge which assure the continuation of order and the possession of kingship. To this order belongs the esoteric knowledge of divine intent and of the future possessed by the imams of Shiism, or of the greatest name of God possessed by great thaumaturgy Sufi mystics. So too do the tablets of wisdom which, according to the Mesopotamian creation myth Emma-Lish, were given to the kings of Babylon by the gods. Similarly, tablets of destiny were bestowed by Tiamat, the goddess representing the primordial waters of chaos, upon Kingu, her second consort. Kingu was destroyed by Marduk, who took the tablets, equipped himself with royal insignia, and went on to establish order. Ancient Mesopotamians thought terrestrial kingship commenced with the bestowal of royal insignia to humans by the sun god Anu, and among the regalia of Mesopotamian kings was the register of destinies, possession of which assured the continuance of rule. In culturally and historically distant Japan, the sun goddess Amaterasu Omikami bestowed upon her grandson, who was the first to rule over the Japan, 3 sacred objects symbolizing spiritual and temporal authority: a mirror, a jewel, and a sword. These objects remain in the possession of succeeding generations of emperors. Similarly, in China, the royal lore of the Tang dynasty had it that the possession of certain documents of great antiquity guaranteed their holders possession of a heavenly mandate to rule. We shall see later that comparable objects assuring continuance of rule were kept by the Umayyad and Abbasid caliphs.